Namaste everyone. Welcome to CET model paper discussion, physics model paper discussion. Hope you have got this question paper and you have tried with all your knowledge to solve this question paper. Hope you have got some experience after solving this, right? So always when you solve a question paper for entrance exam, and you can't enter the entrance exam hall with 100% preparation. It is not possible because there is no limit for the questions. You can frame any type of question so that another person may be trapped in somewhere in some corner of the problem. And another thing is you have to enter the examination hall with best preparation possible. Whatever the potential you have, you should be up to that level. So if you don't know the answer for the first question itself, there is nothing to panic. And in entrance examination is like a 100-meter race, right? All the thing is you have to reach within your best time. You have to reach better than, you have to do better than your friend. There is nothing like limit called all of you must reach the finishing point in 5 seconds only, otherwise you will be disqualified. Nothing like that. You have to do better than your friend. You have to do better than others so that you will get a better rank. And most of the people will get a seat, and most of the people will have their dreams coming true. Only with some difference, that's all. Whatever you have aimed may come down, sometimes it may go better. So with all these things, there is nothing like some student attempting the entrance exam hall and getting nothing. Not like that. Definitely you will be placed somewhere and you will get a good job, and life will keep on going. So you have to reduce all your tension, you have to reduce all your pressures, go freely and try to answer the questions which you know better. And sometimes if it is a very tough question paper, it may be mathematics or physics, if it is very tough question paper, then scoring 20, 15, 25 itself will be a best performance if it is a tough question paper. So the aim of your, your aim should be doing or answering as many questions as possible correctly, right? So, and in entrance CET there is nothing like negative marks. So when you come out of the examination hall, one thing you have to remember, last 10 minutes or last 5 minutes you keep it for those questions which you have not answered, right? So in the beginning I will tell you how to answer in the entrance exam hall. This is my strategy. I don't know whether you follow it or not. In the beginning what you have to do is, you shouldn't waste the time in solving a particular question, right? Suppose a question, you feel that this question I know, I can solve it and I can answer it, but it requires time, and as you go on solving it, the steps go away and you don't get the answer at all. But you feel that this question is very friendly towards you and you can solve it. Leave it off. At that moment you leave it off. In the first round you answer those questions on which you are very confident and you know the answer exactly, on a topic on which you have a good hold. Some people like current electricity very much. Some people like modern physics chapters like nuclear radioactivity very much. So, there is usually brain will like something more than the other. That varies from brain to brain. So which is your best area and where you have too much of hold, solve those questions, and if you know the answer to the 100%, answer it. So the strategy or the way in which you have to answer CET exam, common entrance test exam, in Karnataka without negative marks, that exam will be conducted without negative marks. The strategy is, the style is, keep on answering those questions which you know 100%. Leave the question which needs more calculation. Even if you know it, you just keep it for the second round because it is time consuming. Remember, if you are answering the third question which is very, very long and it requires a long method and it needs so much of concentration, but you know it, if you go on spending time for that question, there are so many easy questions waiting for you. Suppose by the end of the examination, if you are left with some 12 questions, say, till that say 48th question you have kept on solving and you have left with 12 questions. You don't have time to see that. And if that 12 questions, if it includes 6 very easy questions, you are going to lose them. Do you want to lose them for the sake of some other questions? No. Just leave them off. If a question needs too much of time and if it needs too much of thinking, if it consumes time, leave it for the moment in the first round, go for the next question. So those questions which can be answered directly and which you know 100%, and within 2 steps, even if it needs some mathematical steps, within 2 steps if you can answer it immediately in the first round. And also those questions which you don't know the answer 100%. For God's sake, you don't know this question at all, answer it, because you don't have negative marks. Right? Sir, why can't we keep it for the last round? See, once when you read a question, suppose when you read a question, you don't know whether this is physics or chemistry or whether this is mathematics or English. So tough it is, and you don't know to which topic does it belong to, and you haven't seen such a question at all, such words at all. If you feel so, you will never going to realize that question after 1 hour also. Because for whole 2 years, after studying for whole 2 years, you were not able to get what that question is. After 1 hour, are you going to get it? Never, right? So the question which you don't know 100%, take it. See the options. Sometimes options will play, right, and play with you, and you can select the answers. Best possible answers. If it is wrong, you are not going to lose anything. Don't apply this for JEE or NEET, where we have negative marks, right? Here we don't have negative marks. So first round, direct questions which you know 100%. Within 2 steps of calculations, you can get the answer. Such questions have to be covered. In the second round, and also the questions which you don't know 100%, right? Completely, I don't know this at all. I don't know to which chapter does it belong. I don't know even whether it is mathematics or physics. Answer it. Because if you keep it pending, however, you are not going to get the answer for it till the end of the examination. But by the end of the examination, you will have to search that question. So that needs time. So answer it. Then in the second round, those questions which are inviting you for the competition, right? They invite you to the competition. You feel as if you know the answer, you know how to solve it, but it consumes time. So take your own time and solve it, because you won't have tension. So you will have answered all the questions which you know. Direct shooting is over, and the second round you will take those questions which need explanations and which need more steps of working out. So solve them, and then in the last round, which I told, 10 minutes. Or those questions which you have not answered, simply keep on marking. Don't leave them. A student in a very tough examination, if you have marked only 20 questions perfectly, you don't know the answers for the other questions, you are leaving 40 questions. Remember, to whom you are going to leave? To the government? Need not leave, because you have paid the full fees. Answer all the questions for CET exam. I am again saying it is for Karnataka CET, where we don't have negative marks. Then in the last 10 minutes, what are all the questions you have left with? Answer them, whatever be the answer, right? And it is left to you. Some people mark it A for the remaining questions, I say, and B, whatever it is. Say if you get 2 or 3 questions right, your ranking will be somewhere else. So don't leave any question without answering. Suppose a person says, today's mathematics is very, very tough. I was able to answer only 18 questions to the core, and those 18 questions are perfect, and I will definitely get marks in that, and have left 42 questions. If they say, he is the most foolish fellow in the world, because if he had kept only 5 minutes and marked 42 questions randomly, if he had got 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 answers correct, his rank will be somewhere else. Because in a very tough question, even 1 marks count a lot. Because even the topper may have 48 or 50 in the number 1 student will also have 48 to 50 if it is a very tough question paper. If it is easy, 60 out of 60 is also possible nowadays, and we don't know how it will be. And remember, tougher the question paper, better will be your position. If you have really prepared well for the entrance exam, you should expect a tougher question paper for the entrance exam. You should expect a tougher question paper, because if you expect a very easy question paper for the entrance exam, you have to compete with everybody. Even the person who is not fit for entrance exam will also compete with you, because it is a very easy exam. So if you want to compete with only those who are having the same ability, you should get a tough question paper. Then you will do better. So, and also, if the question paper is tough and if the question paper is easy, there is no difference in the entrance exam. Don't go and weep in the house that this today's question paper was very tough. It is tough for all, right? If the 100-meter track is a very good track with all mat and everything. Everybody will get the same facility. All the people who are running in the track, they will get the same facility. If the 100-meter race is done in a muddy track, if it is full of mud, nobody need to panic. Why? Because everybody is running in the same type of track. Everybody will lag behind by the same amount. So if it is a tough question paper, everyone will do worst, and one who is doing little best in that worst condition will get the best place, right? So best among the rotten apples. If all the apples are rotten, we have to select the one which is best among the rotten apples. Similarly, so here, if the examination is tough, need not worry. You can just crack as many questions as possible to the best and try to use all your ideas, so you can do that. So there is nothing to panic if the examination is very tough, and nothing to celebrate if the examination is very easy. Nothing like that in entrance exam. So with all these tips, so you can do that. So have a strategy like this. Answer the direct questions first, and some questions which you don't know at all, and then second round some questions which are familiar to you but need some explanation or calculation. Second round. Third round, again glance it. Last round, 10 minutes, answer all the questions. Don't leave anything. So finally your OMR sheet should be having all the markings, right? There's nothing. All the markings means not all the 4 options for a single question. For one question, 1 option, right? Okay, so we will solve the question paper now. First one, a force of F equal to 2I plus 4J Newton displaces a body by so much. Then power is work by time. So but how do you calculate work? Time is given in 2 seconds. Work is force into displacement. So how do you calculate F dot B? So work is force into displacement. Of course, displacement is given to be B here. So how do you calculate it? But don't directly multiply this. Here you see it is a dot product between. So F is 2I plus 4J, right? There is no K. If I want to write K, 0K. There is no force applied along z-axis, okay? And what about displacement? Displacement is 3J, there is no I, 0I plus 3J and 5K, yes. Now you know that I dot J, J dot K, K dot I, they all give 0 answer because dot product is AB cos theta answer. Cos 90 gives 0 answer. So I dot I, J dot J, K dot K only is possible. So what is F dot B? That is work done. So 2I, this is 0, 4 into 3, 12, and K dot K is possible, but it is 0. So this is 12 joules. So what is power? Power is rate of doing work, right? The speed at which you do the work, how fast you are with respect to time. That is work is 12 joules and time taken is 2 seconds, and it is 6 joule per second or 6 watt. So this is the answer. Third one, easy question. And usually entrance exam will not be very tough. There are some easy questions. So we will hit the easy questions first. Second one, the density of a material is 0.4 gram per cc in CGS system. The corresponding value in MKS system is density of a material is 0.45 gram per cc. So you have to convert it into MKS. Very simple. 0.45 gram is 10 to the power minus 3 cc per cc. Cubic centimeter, centimeter cube, centimeter, 10 to the power minus 6 per centimeter cube. So what is this answer? That is 0.45 into 10 to the power 3 plus 6 and this one. So how much it will be? 1000 into 0.45 is 450 kg. Oh, same answer. I was sticking in the that tick mark of the previous question agrees very well with this one. 450 gram per meter cube, right? This is kg per meter cube. Kg per meter cube. Yes. Okay. Shall we move on to the third one? Yes. A block B is placed, is pushed momentarily along a horizontal surface. Okay. Now let us now try with that tick mark. For the third question. You are just pushing a block of mass like this. A block B is pushed momentarily along a horizontal surface with an initial velocity v. Right. Then, if the mu is the coefficient of sliding friction between the B and the surface of the block will come to rest after a time off. So it will be going forward and it will be stopped because frictional force will try to stop it, which is opposite to the direction of motion. Final initial velocity is v, v naught is v, right? Initial velocity is v, final velocity is 0. So v final, right? It is 0. It has to stop. What is the time? So time equation is when you know distance, x equal to v naught t plus half at square. If it is in terms of initial and final velocity, v is equal to v naught plus at, and which the equation which connects time and initial final velocities. But if you want to know, you have to write a, because a is not expressed here. A is expressed in terms of g, mu and all. And you know that frictional force is always equal to mu into n. Of course, it is opposite to the applied force. F is equal to mu into n. And normal reaction can be written as mg, right? Which is same as the weight. Normal reaction is mg, mu into mg, okay? Now, what is, but this F is also equal to ma, right? So ma is mu into mg. What may be the answer now? Mm gets cancelled. So acceleration is mu into g. So we were trying to find out the acceleration. So what is the time? V is equal to v naught plus at. Initial velocity is v, final velocity is 0. Finally it should stop. And plus at. Of course, here it is the resisting force to the opposite to the direction of the displacement. So minus acceleration actually, mu into g into t. They want what is t? Mu gt is equal to v. What is t? T is equal to v by mu g. What is the answer? V by mu g. Correct? Fourth one, v by mu g or mu g by v. It's correct. Acceleration by velocity is not time. Velocity by, yeah, right. This is dimension wise also it is correct. So option 4. Okay. Problem number 4. Two bodies of masses 4 kg and 9 kg have equal kinetic energies. Ratio of their momentum is. So you should have a relation between momentum and kinetic energy. That's a famous equation. So you have kinetic energy E is equal to half m square, and if you multiply by m on both sides, Em is equal to half m square v square. Of course, you must know this final formula actually, half p square, right? So what is p? If you bring 2em here, 2em square root is equal to momentum t. Now, their question is, two bodies have masses, so momentum is, they have equal kinetic energy. Kinetic energy goes out of the court. It is not in the competition now. If the kabaddi competition is between only mass and momentum, momentum is directly proportional to square root of mass. Masses are in the ratio 4:9, so momentum is in the ratio 2:3. Get the square root and write the same ratio, 2:3, correct? Option 2, direct one. This is a very simple question, basic. 5. In the expression z equal to mv square by t, m is mass, v is velocity, and t is thickness, distance. Here they are trying to mislead you. Usually we take t as time, right? But here t is not time, it is thickness. Okay. What is the unit of z? So you have to find out the dimension of z. Then you will have to think of what is the quantity. Z is mass, velocity square, L square t to the power minus 2, Lt to the power minus 1 whole square, divided by thickness. So there is a danger that we will taking it as time t. It is not time, it is thickness. So L, 1, L gets cancelled. So yeah, mass into Lt to the power minus 2. So mass into acceleration it is, right? So what is this? Newton, because it is force. M into A is force. So Newton is the unit. Right. 6th one. The figure shows the position time graph of one-dimensional motion of a body. Okay. Figure shows the position time graph of one-dimensional motion of a body of mass 0.4 kg. The magnitude of each impulse is. So what do you mean by impulse? Impulse can be calculated in two ways. One is force into time, and another is change in momentum, mv minus mu. I think this is the best formula here, because you have displacement versus time graph. That means you can calculate velocities, change in velocity, m into v minus u, right? So it is m into v minus u. So it is like this, it is going like this. So the graph goes like this. So in the first 2 seconds, velocity is increasing, displacement is up to 2 meters. So this is x in meters, if you can't see that, t in seconds, right? In the first 2 seconds, displacement is 2 meter up, 2 meter forward. In the next 2 seconds, again back, displacement is again 0. Okay, so again 4, this is 6, right? And this is 8, like this. Now, what is the velocity here? Can you get the slope? Because it is uniform, right? Straight line says that the rate of change of displacement is uniform. That means change in displacement is same with respect to same time. Okay, so how can you calculate here velocity? Velocity is the slope. I will write initial velocity V naught. That is, or V, u, right? I have taken it as u. Initial velocity u. Displacement by time, or displacement is x by time, x is 2 and time is 2, that is equal to 1 meter per second. What about the velocity here? In the second half, velocity is equal to, now the displacement is in the opposite direction, right? And it is the displacement is decreasing with time. That means it is coming back to the same point. So here it is 2 by 2 only, but it is minus 1 meter per second. It is not going in the same forward direction. The displacement has become 0 finally. That means it has returned back to the same position. So it is minus 1. This is another glitch, easy problem, but you have small glitches set in between, and that has to be taken very seriously. Okay, so this is plus 1 meter per second. This is negative slopes, you see. That is the easy way of explaining. This is negative slope and this is positive slope. Positive going, negative going. So what is the change in momentum? That is the impulse. Mass of the body is 0.4 kg. Change in velocity is 1 minus of minus 1. So how much it is? 2.8 kg meter per second, or Newton second. That is also another unit. 0.8 Newton second, or kg meter per second. That's also possible. And kg, how it is? Kg meter per second. Kg meter per second. Now multiply and divide by s seconds. Okay, this becomes second square. What is meter per second square? Newton. Meter per second square is acceleration. Mass, acceleration, second. So Newton second. That is also possible, right? Unit wise. Okay. Sixth one is over. Change in momentum is equal to impulse. The amount of work done in increasing the size of a soap bubble from 10 centimeter into 6 centimeter to 10 centimeter into 10 centimeter. You know that a soap bubble, a liquid drop, all of them have some extra surface energy. Because molecules on the surface have more energy, they are less bound compared to the molecules inside. So that extra surface energy per unit area is called surface tension. So surface tension is defined as the surface energy per unit area. So what is surface energy? Surface tension into area. So if you are increasing the size of the soap bubble, you must blow air into that. That means you have to do the work in increasing the size of the soap bubble. Now what is the total energy given when the size of the soap bubble increases from that area to this area? That means you have to calculate the surface tension into area first time and surface tension into area next time. Since it is the spherical bubble, you have to apply the area 4 pi r squared. Both the times it is the same soap bubble, so surface tension doesn't change. So work done is equal to change in energy. Here surface energy. So what you can write? Work done, W is equal to change in energy is final minus initial energy. Final energy is surface tension into final area minus surface tension into first area. Because surface tension into area is surface energy. But one thing is you have to multiply here by 2. Why? Because when you increase the surface area of a soap bubble, you have to increase the surface area of 2 surfaces. Soap bubble has 2 surfaces. Like this. One surface here, another surface here. So soap bubble has 2 surfaces. So in order to increase the area, you have to stretch both the surfaces away. So what happens is you have to do the double work than a liquid drop. A liquid drop has only one surface. Only this one. outside. There is no inside surface. So you need not have to do work in stretching both the surfaces. There you have only one. So you need not multiply by 2 if it is a liquid drop. Now it is a soap bubble. So shall we take tension outside? We will throw away tension always. No tension. Surface tension 30 into 10 to the power minus 3 into second area 4 pi r square. No, 4 pi r square. It is a soap bubble. Area is given in terms of length and breadth. It is 10 centimeter into 6 centimeter. 60 centimeter square. 10 to the power minus 4 minus. Next one is second one is 10 into 10. So it is 100 minus 60 10 to the power minus 4. So what is work done? 30 into 10 to the power minus 3. This is 100 minus 60, 40 into 10 to the power minus 4. We are getting too much of 10 to the powers. Why did we? Right? Okay, we may get it. That is equal to W is equal to, we are getting 10 to the power minus 7. But no, minus 7. 10 centimeter to 6 centimeter and 30 into 10 to the power minus 3 Newton per meter. Amount of work done increasing the size of the soap bubble 60 and 100. Okay, we will work it out. So this is 1200 into 10 to the power minus 7. Centimeter to 10 centimeter. Area centimeter square, 10 to the power minus 4. So what is the answer? Yeah, you may get it. Thinking too much. Let us find out the answer, then we will see. 1200 into 2. Where is into 2? Yeah, here it has skipped out. Yes, 2 is trying to escape. 2400 into 10 to the power minus 7. Yes. 2, 4. 3 answers, 2, 4. Okay. Minus 2, not possible. 2.4 in 10 to the power minus 4. Yeah. 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 4. 3 zeros, 0.0 points here. And what about this one? 10 to the power 3, not possible. So this is the answer. 2.4 into 10 to the power minus 4. Yeah. So got the idea, I think. So increasing the size of the soap bubble. In one of the class we have seen how to combine the soap, these liquid drops and form a bigger drop. How to find out the surface energy. This is little different, right? So increasing the size of the soap bubble, and you have to multiply by 2. If it is a liquid drop, don't multiply it by 2. Only the change in the surface area into the surface tension. That gives the work done or surface energy increase. Okay. Problem number 8. The acceleration in meter per second square of a body starting from rest varies with time according to the relation A is equal to 3t plus 4. A is equal to 3t plus 4. This is the acceleration. Now what is the velocity of the body at t equal to 2 seconds? If you want to find out velocity of the body at t equal to 2 seconds, you have to find out the equation for velocity. Then substitute t equal to 2 seconds. Integrate this, and integrating we get velocity is equal to 3t square by 2. Hoping that you are very good in integration. I don't write all the steps. All the explanations I don't give. 4t, right? 3t square by 2 plus 4t. Put t is equal to, when, very easy question, t is equal to 2 seconds, what you will get? V is equal to 3 into 4 t square, 2 square by 2 plus 4 into 2. Okay, so 2 times, how much is the answer? 3t square by 2, 4t, t equal to 2, 4, 2 times 6 plus 8, 14. You have? Yes, that is the velocity at t equal to 2 seconds. Okay. If P is equal to Q is equal to R, magnitudes, right? They say that magnitudes of 3 vectors are equal. If P is equal to Q is equal to R, and P plus Q is equal to R, that means they should form a triangle, because all the questions are triangles. They should form a triangle. What type of triangle? It should be an equilateral triangle, because the equation says that R is the resultant of P and Q. If R is the resultant of addition of vectors P and Q, then those 3 vectors should form the sides of a triangle. They should they can be represented by the sides of a triangle. If it is a triangle, magnitudes are equal. That means sides should be same of length. So an equilateral triangle. Option 1, simple. 10. P and Q are 2 forces acting at a point such that Q is equal to 2P. P and Q are two forces acting at a point. Okay, you can apply parallelogram law. Q equal to P. The resultant is perpendicular to P. Okay. Resultant is perpendicular. That means Q is much away from that. Always resultant should be in between the two vectors. You can't have resultant outside the two vectors. So resultant is between them. If the resultant is between them, they say that resultant itself is perpendicular to P. Then where is Q? Q is away. It is obtuse angle. So you can imagine like this. This is 2 times, then this is single, right? Say this is P and this is Q, which is equal to 2 times P, and the resultant is here like this. Parallelogram is like this. If two vectors can be represented by the two sides of a parallelogram taken in the same order, resultant is given by the diagonal of the parallelogram. The resultant is perpendicular to P. That is what they say. Angle between the forces is, angle is 90 plus remaining this angle. Theta I will take. Theta is not the angle. Theta plus 90. Because I have taken this theta because this is 90, I know, right? There is the sides here. And what is tan theta? I mean, this is P, this is P. This is 2P, this is 2P. Opposite sides of a parallelogram are equal in length. You take just sin theta. Because we know hypotenuse and opposite side. So sin theta is the best choice. P by Q, which is P by 2P, that is equal to half. What is theta? Theta is 30 degrees. What is the angle between the forces? 30 plus 90, 120. So that is a solution. Just realize it using a parallelogram law of vector addition. Only the thing is, resultant is perpendicular to P. Since I have given you the right way of solving, initially it becomes easier. Because I have given you, I have guided you, but you have to think of how will be the parallelogram, where is the resultant, how it is possible. Total angle should be obtuse. Either these two angles should be the answers. You can't have angle between the vectors 90 and 60, not possible. So these types of selection is also helpful, right? So either 120 or 150, out of the two it should be the answer, because the sentences say like that. Resultant itself is at 90 degrees, that means another force must be away from 90 degrees. Okay. 11th one, right? A nylon rope 3 centimeter in diameter. Worked out a problem of the same problem in one of the class also. A nylon rope 3 centimeter in diameter has a strength of 2 into 10 to the power 5 Newton. The breaking strength of the similar rope is of rope of 1.5 centimeter and centimeter in diameter. Breaking strength means you have to apply the maximum force or minimum force which will break it. Any force greater than that will definitely break it. But that, what is the minimum force for breaking it? That is breaking strength. Breaking strength depends on the size, thickness. If you have same wire I am comparing, if I am comparing two plastic wires, it is the same material, but thickness is different. And you know, stress is equal to force by area. Am I right? What is and stress is same. Breaking stress is same. You may apply different stress on a wire. That is different. What is breaking stress? It is the force required to break it. Sir, is it same for all the wires? Yes. In the sense of all the wires of different thickness but made up of the same material. So same material, different thickness wires, they have the same breaking stress. And if area is more, if it is thicker, more force is needed. So numerator more, denominator more. Answer is same. If a wire is thinner and area is less, then less force is enough. Similarly here, so if you, that means if this is a constant, not in the competition, force is directly proportional to area, directly proportional to r square, because wire is usually cylindrical in shape. Pi r square is the cross-sectional area. If F is proportional to r squared, shall we go for the shortcut? 2 into 10 to the power 5 Newton is used to break just enough to break 3 centimeter. And radius is hard, correct? When radius is hard, force gets reduced to 1/4, because you have a square here. When this is made r by 2 whole square, this should be 1/4. What is the previous force? 2 into 10 to the power 5. 1/4 of that, 0.5 into 10 to the power 5 Newton. Right? Answer is 3. 12. A satellite orbiting around Earth. Okay, let it move around Earth. By what percentage should we increase the velocity? Now it is revolving around the earth, it is under the influence of the earth. Earth's gravitational pull is used as a centripetal force. Now I will go on increasing the speed. What will happen? If you go on increasing the speed of a stone which is tied to a string and rotated in a circular path, if you go on increasing the speed, you feel that the stone is pulling us away from the circular path with such a force, right? More and more force, and the force is increasing. Now, even in the case of satellite, if the velocity given, orbital velocity is too much, it may escape from the surface of the earth. By how much percentage you have to escape? You have to increase the velocity so as to enable the escape, enable it to escape from the earth. Now it is moving in orbital velocity, correct? It has to become escape velocity. Compare the relations. Orbital velocity is root rg. What is escape velocity? Greater than that. If orbital velocity itself is greater than escape, it would have escaped already. So orbital velocity is less, root 2 rg. Now if you divide this, what you will get? Escape velocity is root 2 times orbital, or if you want to divide, I will divide it. Escape velocity by orbital velocity is root of 2 rg by 2, rg, cancel. What is the escape velocity is equal to root 2 times orbital. Escape velocity is root 2 times the orbital velocity. If it is so, what is escape velocity? 1.414 times orbital. What do you mean by that? Escape velocity is 1.41 times the orbital velocity, or 0.41 times greater, right? Because escape velocity is orbital velocity plus 0.414 orbital velocity. Here we have 1 times orbital plus extra 0.14 for 0.414. In fraction, 0.41 extra we have in escape than orbital. And how much percentage wise? 41.4. You multiply this by 100. So escape velocity is 41.4% than more than orbital. Extra we have, not only equal to orbital plus some extra we have, that is 41%. So that is the first one. Simple question it is. Okay, 13. A projectile is fired at an angle of 45 degrees and it reaches the highest point in its path after 2 root 2 seconds. Okay. A projectile is fired at an angle of 45 degrees. Okay. Fire. Parabola. It will follow the path of a parabola. So this is 45 degrees. It reaches the highest point. So this we know, don't know, the initial velocity of projection. And it reaches the highest point after 2 root 2 seconds. What is the time of, half of the time of flight? 2 root 2 seconds. Velocity of projection is, you just equate this, because in the equation time you get V naught. T is equal to 2 V naught sine theta naught by G is full flight time. V naught sine theta naught by G. If it is 2 V naught sine theta naught by G, full time of flight. So what is this implying? 2 root 2 is equal to V naught, don't know, that's what you have to find out, sine theta naught 1 by root 2, because 45, initial angle of projection is 45, by G I will take it as 10. This is 20, this is 2, that is 40. Any other answer possible? No. It is 20 into root 2, 40, 39.2, because I have not taken 9.8. So simple, okay, 14th one. Two men stand close to a long straight metal rail. Okay, so the problem is like this. They are standing very close to a long rail, say railway track. One is standing here and another may be, say, holding his here against the rail, because the problem runs like that. Distance from each other. One man fires a gun on the rail. This one, dish can like this, fires a gun. The rail vibrates and it produces a sound, and on the rail, and the other hears 2 explosions. Okay, here he hears 2 explosions, 2 sounds. Why? One is the hitting the rail, and that sound travels faster, and another sound travels through air. That travels slower, because velocity of sound in air is less, 330. In rails it is more, because density is more. So the metal particles are thickly populated. Vibration transfer occurs faster. Okay. Right. If the velocity of sound in the if the velocity of sound in metal is so much and in air is so much, distance between them. Yeah, the distance of travel is same for both. Now, for 3630 velocity distance by, and there is a time difference, right? They reach the time in a time interval of 1 second, right? So here it is t, 1 second, because it reaches in 1 second. This one, no, here it is t. Whereas traveling with air takes the same distance but more time, 1 second extra. The sound traveling through rails, he will hear it suppose at 12 o'clock. This will be heard at 12 o'clock 1 second. 1 second later, because there is a time interval of 1 second between them. That doesn't mean that 1 second is the time taken to travel. It is the difference in the time taken to travel. Okay, now compare them. Here x equal to 3630t, and here x is equal to 330t plus 330. I have cross multiplied 330t plus 330. Now compare them. 3630t is equal to 330t plus 330. Bring this here. Minus 330 means 300. 3300 is equal to 330, and you have a t here. Okay, t. What is t? 330 divided by 3300. 1 0 gets cancelled. 1 by 10, right? 1 by 10 seconds. Yeah, 1 by 10 seconds. Now substitute 1 by 10 somewhere here, you will get t. So that implies x is equal to 3630 into t, 3630 into 1 by 10, 0 gets cancelled. What is 363 meters? That is the distance between them. Simple problem. Velocity equal distance by time. Since sound is included, we can say that it is from sound chapter. Actually, it is mechanics. 15. A tuning fork of frequency 90 Hz is sounded and moved towards a stationary observer with a velocity equal to 1 by 10th of the velocity of the sound. You know our standard formula. So tuning fork is sounded, its actual frequency is 90 Hz, and it is sounded and it is moved towards a stationary listener. Here is the stationary listener, and here is the tuning fork moving towards him and producing the sound like this. Velocity of the source observer at rest. What is the formula? Nu apparent original into V plus V naught divided by V minus Vs. Why? Vs has come to the negative x-axis. Velocity of sound is however in negative x-axis. So what is nu is equal to apparent frequency, no, not given, original frequency 90, and velocity of sound V, and the source is moved towards the stationary observer with a velocity equal to 1 by 10th of the velocity of sound. V minus 1 by 10th of the velocity of sound. Am I right now? Yes. Nu is equal to 90 into V by, this is 9V by 10. 90 into 10 by 9, it is 100 Hz, more than the actual frequency. So again a simple problem, provided you know the theory. 16th one. Power radiated by a black body is P, and it radiates a maximum energy around the wavelength lambda naught. Okay, you know that Wien's displacement law. If the temperature of the black body is now changed so that it radiates maximum energy around wavelength of 3 lambda naught by 4, the power radiated by it will increase by a factor of, it will increase by a factor of, okay. That means you will have to find out the difference in the power, right? P minus P naught. Yes. Shall we take up this question after this next video? We will take it up, already it is time, I have not seen that. We will take it up in the next video.